This is the Antisocial Podcast, episode 170 with Aaron Worboys. But before we kick into this episode, if we haven't met already, howdy, welcome to the podcast. My name is Andy Dowling, and in addition to hosting this podcast, I am also a heavy metal warrior and play bass in the Australian metal band Lord. If you haven't heard our music before, go over to lord.net.au. There's video clips, there's streaming music, there's a whole back catalogue and historical information there. It's a really easy and quick way to get a taste of what we're all about. If you've known about us for a little while but haven't been paying attention recently, we have released a single, our first single, off the upcoming, I had to spit this one out, come on Andy, off the upcoming album Fallen Idols, which is due out at the end of April. The first single is called United, Welcome Back, and you can go and check that out by going to lord.net.au/united. You can grab the track from Bandcamp, but you can also check out the video clip as well, which is on YouTube. So make sure you go and check that out. Please pass it around and spread the word if you enjoy the track. We really are keen to get this in front of as many metal fans as possible. So if you know anybody out there that might dig this song or our music in general, please pass it around. It means a hell of a lot to us. But go and check it all out. lord.net.au. lord.net.au/united. New album coming out at the end of April, I believe. I'm recording this a little bit in advance. And new single is out, United. Go and check it out. When I'm not being a heavy metal warrior, I am also hosting a second podcast called Self-Starter, which is all about small business, self-employment, and freelancing. So you might be interested in starting your own business, or you already have one and want some tips. You might be a freelancer. You might earn money on the side, a little side hustle, or a bit of extra pocket money on the weekends. Or you might know someone who's just really restless and dissatisfied with what they're currently doing and just wants to get out and do their own thing. So either for yourself or for somebody you might know, go and check out selfstarter.com.au. You can also search for Self-Starter in your podcast player. Season 1 wrapped up at the end of 2018, and Season 2 is going to kick off at I was going to say at the start of June this year, but I'm not entirely sure when in June. But anyway, June of 2019 this year, Season 2 will kick off. But go back and have a listen to the episodes today. There's lots of great stories in there. And I've created a whole bunch of blog content as well. And it's just some really good insights and some learnings as to how other people have been doing it. So go and check it all out. Selfstarter.com.au. Hope you dig it. It's shout out time. Every week, I pick one person out of the bunch to put on public record and just say thank you. And it could be for a range of different reasons. It could be something such as buying a t-shirt or a USB pass or a patch or something from the online store. It could be shouting me a beer via the PayPal button over at andysocial.net. It could be a message of encouragement, a bit of social media love, tagging a friend, or recommending the podcast to somebody else. It doesn't matter. It all helps. It keeps the whole thing moving, keeps me motivated, and I really enjoy when people just take a little bit of extra time to support this podcast, big or small. It all helps and means a lot to me. So this week's shout out is for Anne Williams. Anne shot me a message on Twitter, I think. Twitter. And basically just said that she had discovered the podcast, the Antisocial Podcast, via the Self-Starter podcast of all things, and discovered it via episode 25 of the Self-Starter podcast, which was about Anchors Away Art Studio featuring Trina Collins. And Trina has also been on the Antisocial Podcast, being episode 157. So Anne is from Wollongong and just really enjoyed and had no idea this place existed, and was just really thankful for, I guess, the content in the episodes, and really enjoyed it. And has, as a result, gone back and dug into other episodes of both Self-Starter and Antisocial. So Anne, thank you so much. I appreciate the message, and it's good to know that people are finding out about the podcast through a whole range of different ways. And it's good that both podcasts are sort of promoting each other and sort of linking in at times. So it's definitely helping share the audience a little bit, which is a massive help for me. So thank you, Anne. It's great to get that feedback. And please, as always, if you hear this, and when you do hear this, please shoot me a message and I will hook you up with a bunch of stuff that's laying around my house. It won't be rubbish, but I'll find some things, a nice little surprise in the post. So hit me up, give me your details, and I will flick something out in the post. Thank you very much. Alrighty, on the podcast this week, we have Aaron Worboys. Aaron is the owner of Adversary Studios, which is located in St. Peter's and Sydenham in Sydney's inner west, and we'll get to that shortly. He's also the frontman of Bane of Isildur. And sorry, guys, getting carried away here. He's also an audio engineer extraordinaire, studio engineer. Aaron, just as a little fact, a little bit of did you know, Aaron was one of the engineers on Dungeons, the final chapter, helped us do the drums at Studio 301 or 301 Studios. So we've got a long history with Aaron, and he's just such a great guy and has been part of Sydney music and Sydney metal for so many years and has worked with so many bands, both locally, interstate and internationally. And as of late, he has launched and opened up Adversary Studios, which is just an amazing rehearsal space and also recording space for a lot of bands. And I'm going to let Aaron explain how he set this up, but really, really cool. And for somebody that has been used to rehearsing in really basic setups, Aaron's is state of the art, and he's looking to expand and improve on it moving forward into the future. So there's heaps of cool stuff here. So if you want to learn more about the studio and Aaron, you can go to adversarystudios.com. As always, I'm going to put links to everything we discuss, the studio, the band, all the work that he does, his direct contact details, everything will be in the show notes over at andysocial.net. And as always, you guys know the drill. If you're listening to this through a podcast player, you should be able to scroll down or click through, and there'll be a bunch of clickable links there as well. So I'll make sure it's nice and easy for you guys to reach out to Aaron and all the guests that have been on this podcast to date. Nice and easy to do it. So enough crapping on from me. Please enjoy this really cool chat with Aaron Worboys. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. We're at Crowbar, Sydney, and this is the first time I've been here since it's reopened. But you're working here.
Yep.
What's the title?
Title: one of the house guys.
One of the house guys.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier because I've been here for quite a bit over the years playing, but I guess from a band point of view, what's changed in here?
We souped the PA up a little bit. The PA was already good, but we sort of fixed a few of the speakers and added some new subs and put a new desk in. But yeah, so it always sounded good, but it sounds extra good now.
Yep. It looks pretty much the same for the most part. They've actually got, it looks like more of a dedicated bar in here, which is always good.
Yeah, can bar next to the sound desk's always good.
Definitely.
Next to the merch area.
It's an easy swing around for you guys when you're doing this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. How do you guys schedule? Was it a couple of house guys?
Yeah, there's a couple of main guys.
Yeah.
We sort of just pick and choose between gigs, and then if we can't do any of them, we get some other guys in. We got a list of blokes that work here as well. So,
do you guys sort of do it week on week? So you see what the gigs are for the week coming, or you sort of plan a bit further in advance?
I have to plan in advance because my calendar's hectic.
Right.
So we've only had a few shows so far. But yeah, we just sort of jump on whatever we'd like to do and check with the other guy, and it usually works out pretty smooth.
So, really dumb question, but from a sound guy point of view, when you're picking, is it more about the type of band or the type of show that's on because you've got more of an ability to mix a particular genre band better than another one, or is it just a personal preference of what you like?
Probably more of a personal preference.
Yeah. Because
the other guy is more of a punk and hardcore dude, and I'm more of a metal guy, and Crowbar do metal, punk and hardcore. So
there you go. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, we both sort of lean on our own genres, but yeah, we can do either. It doesn't really make too much difference. It's all loud.
Doesn't throw you.
It's all loud and heavy.
So it doesn't throw you out too much if it's sort of a little bit left field.
Well, I did the hardcore gig the other day. It was a little bit weird. It used different kind of effects, and like when I do a black metal gig, I'll put massive reverbs on everything and delays on the vocals, and
just mask everything.
Yeah. Not so much the same on a hardcore gig.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of things that, from a punter point of view, and even from a dumb bass player point of view, you just don't even take into account like things that you have to factor in. Especially when you're on stage playing, you're really only focused on what's coming through your foldback, and that's about it. Yeah. What it sounds like out the front, you got no freaking idea.
No, that's right. Yeah.
And
yeah, if I was mixing a jazz band, it might be a bit different.
Have you ever done it?
I mixed like a Latina,
Brazilian
dance band thing one time here.
Here at the Stag?
Yeah, it was some private party thing. Yeah, when it was the Stag.
That would be more difficult because you'd probably have to have a lot more clarity on everything.
Yeah. It was a different range of instruments too. A lot of vocals and weird sort of percussion things and double basses. Was it double bass? No, piano, accordion.
And for that one in particular, would they, like, you know, for us, like, we'd have like a little stage plot sort of thing where we kind of give a rough idea of what we want.
Yeah.
Did they have anything?
These guys had no idea. With it.
Just turn it up, make it sound good.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of that from bands where they've got something already sort of preset as far as what their expectations are, or is it sort of more of a case that it's in the ladder where you sort of just it's on you?
Yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Some dudes are pretty organised, and that's good for me.
Yeah.
Saves heaps of hassle. Just you can plug the mics in. They know what they want. They know their monitor sends, and
especially if they've got things such as in-ears and all that sort of stuff, it probably makes it that's already preset, so they don't have to be too sensitive to what's happening on stage.
It doesn't have to be preset. We can control it because we control monitors from front of house here, so that's kind of, it can be tricky when you're doing in-ears because you don't want to blow them out too much. Yeah.
How long have you been doing sound for, as far as from a live point of view? Because I know you do
live sound. I don't know. I sort of just eased into it over the last 5 or 6 years, just as a bit of a sea change. Mates' bands are asking me to mix them live, and I just rock up and mix supports at big venues and started enjoying it.
You've probably done pretty much every venue in Sydney.
Yeah.
Getting there anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been so many gigs I've rocked up to, and there's Aaron behind us doing the locals, or even sometimes. I mean, you've done some of the larger bands, not so much all the headliners because they've usually got their own touring guy.
Yeah,
but I've seen you sort of jump in.
I've done a few big headliners.
Yeah,
I did. Last big headliner I did Arcturus.
Oh yeah,
in Sydney show. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Is that a challenge? I mean, there's going to be a million dumb questions, but is that a challenge having to mix sound in all these different types of venues? So here might be because of just the shape of the venue versus like the Manning's such a unique shape and the size of that venue versus the Metro or anything like that. Is it something that throws you a bit? We have to keep in mind.
Depends what you're doing. If I'm doing an opening band, no sound check, no line check.
Doesn't matter, just whatever.
No, it does matter. It matters more than if you're doing a headliner. You can tune the PA to your liking and whatever. But if you're doing an opener, you usually get no sound check. Walk in, plug the mics in, and then sometimes you never heard the band before. Sometimes you'd never used the console before, and you just kind of close your eyes and push the faders up and see what happens.
Is there something that you have to do? Like within, because I mean, I've certainly had this as a support band. That first song is usually a bit, well, how you going? And then by the second, it sort of cleans itself up. But I mean, what are things that you're checking for in that first song as soon as it kicks off?
As long as the vocals are working.
Yeah.
So I usually line check everything, make sure it's all working.
Yep.
I guess vocals and drums first. Guitars sort of do their own thing because they got amps on stage and they can usually carry by themselves if it's, and then just.
Yeah.
Work back from there. Usually have it done by the end of the first song, and then sort of tweak from there. Yeah,
I've definitely found shows over the years where that first song kicks in and you're already excited and ready to go, and then it's like, oh fuck, this is a train wreck. This is going so badly, and then suddenly, like halfway through that first song, you're thinking, why do I do this? Why have I decided to do this? This is so embarrassing. Fuck, we should have rehearsed better because we're thinking it's us. Yeah. And then by the second song, everything just mysteriously just starts to work. And it's like, oh, that's right. And then,
You see the people's faces in the crowd.
Yeah, to begin with, they're like sort of
weird expressions on their faces, going, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah, or someone,
and then you kind of go, "Oh fuck, what's happening?"
And the worst is when you've got people that have seen you so many times over the years, and they're looking at you, and they're trying to tell you what's not working, and it's like, man, you're pointing. I mean, don't go and tell the sound guy. It's probably the worst thing to do in the world because I'm sure you've been hassled over the years. But
it's not my favourite thing.
No, but I've had people like, look, and I'm trying to like get into it and look like I'm, know what I'm doing. And you just make eye contact with someone in the crowd, and they're just pointing up and pointing to like their mouth, like your vocal needs up. I'm like, fucking don't tell me, I can't do anything, or can't hear you. And they're trying to mouth it at you. Fuck, man. Yeah, and so it's a bit of a buzzkill, and so you have to try and forget about it.
It's almost like heckling.
Yeah, and I've been one of those punters as well, especially after I've had a few beers, where you think you can hear something that nobody else can, or you can notice something that nobody else notices, and you feel like you feel compelled to go up to the sound guy and go, oh, hey, heads up, the guitars are a bit low over here. I noticed when he hits his patch, blah, blah, blah. And you just think that your ears are just fucking, you can pick up everything and everybody else has got no clue.
Yeah.
So you must, you would have got that a few times.
Yeah, different rooms as well. Like this room, for example, first thing we did was put an infill in on the stage. So we put some little monitors some little speakers on the side that point into the center, because the vocals were shooting right down the back.
Ah, okay.
So people would be standing up the front and middle, and they wouldn't hear the vocals because the PA was firing the sound past them.
They're usually the people that walk all the way from the front to the back.
Yeah, they'd walk to the back and they go, hey, I can't hear the vocals. And I go, oh yeah, and I look up and they'd turn around and go, that's better, and I wouldn't even touch it.
It's like
many times.
It's like a guitarist who points out to the desk and goes like this, and you don't do anything and they're like,
that's good,
thumbs up.
The magical dead channel that you're not using, you just turn everything up on it and they think it's good.
That's right. I mean, I remember.
But now since we've got the infills, the vocals point right in the middle, so there's a little sort of backup.
It makes sense when you explain it, but I've never even thought about having something like that in a live venue. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of venues that do it, but I've always, especially when I first started going to gigs, barely turned 18 or some of the underage ones, and you would always be right up the front. And it was just a mash of noise, but you just loved it anyway. But all the old guys would be like, man, you stand up near the desk. That's where you hear it all and you enjoy it and blah, blah, blah. And
that's where the sound guy's listening to it.
Yeah, and you're like, shut up, old man. And then as I've gotten older, I've progressively moved further and further back into the room. And whenever I go to a larger show, I'm always standing around the desk. And it's for that reason. And part of it, because I just can't deal with all the people running around and bumping into each other. But I think having those sort of fills on the stage, I mean, you don't have that mash of noise at the front.
No, that's right. You get the vocals, because that's all we have through it. Well, we can choose what we put through that mix, but it's pretty much just the vocals, and then they'll throw straight in the middle. So.
And how would that work with a band that's that uses something like an in-ear sort of setup and doesn't have cabs on stage or anything like that? Because their monitors are facing towards them.
Yep.
But if you're in that front row, I mean, would you rely on those similar fills?
Yeah. Well, they're pretty directional. The guitars will still throw pretty hard through the PA.
Yeah.
Yeah, like anything that's like drums and guitars, you won't have any worries with there.
Yeah.
It'll just be pumping out.
And going back to what you said before, doing live sound and get mates hitting you up and asking to do their sound for you. Was a lot of that from, I guess, you playing in bands and having that network of people? Or, I mean, I think I first met you 301, and I think, and you were helping us with the last Dungeon album.
Yeah, recording you guys.
Yeah, and I think, maybe I met you before that. Maybe, I don't know, but that's the first early memory anyway.
It's a long way back.
That is a long way back now. Did it sort of come off the back of studio work that you were doing and sort of that network of people?
Yeah, but everything combined, I guess. I knew everyone from playing in bands and doing studio stuff, so just kind of that's how my life revolves around all those people now.
Yeah.
It's just my whole network.
And was 301 one of the first sort of gigs that you were doing as far as sort of studio work?
Yeah. So I finished studying and then got a job at 301, just working as an assistant there and cleaning toilets to start with, as everyone does, and then they started paying me to do it, and then then just do a few assisting gigs here and there. And
was that a hard gig to get? Because 301's, not hard as in, but I guess, is it from the outside looking in? A lot of people that are sort of studying to do that line of work, 301, at least from my point of view, would be one of the
holy grail, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the top. Did
you get lucky, or right place, right time?
I think the college I went to had a scholarship sort of program or whatever it was. So they pick 2 or 3 people from each class to do an internship at 301, and then I did it for a while, and then it turned out there was a job coming up at the same time, so it sort of just happened.
It's probably easy for them because you're already sort of familiar with the place, and
they were all happy with how I did stuff and whatever, so I just sort of fell into it.
And for I keep forgetting all the time people are listening to us talk, even though we're holding mics. But I guess for people that are listening,
Yeah, I've got to stop pointing at stuff.
Yeah, I know. I was doing that before. But I mean, 301's one of those places that is historic from a musical point of view, especially in Australia, where just cream of the crop, like musicians. I mean, even international have recorded there. When you were there for that period, how long were you there for?
I was there for like a couple of years.
Yeah,
I mean, 2 or 3 years.
What was there anyone sort of noteworthy? I mean, everyone's noteworthy, of course, but was there any big names that you worked on?
Hung out with Mossy a little bit.
Yeah, nice. I tried to get him on the podcast. That's another story, but yeah, legend.
He was a good dude.
Yeah.
Who else was in? Russell Crowe's missus.
Really?
Yeah.
What was she doing?
I can't remember her name. She was doing an album.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know who his missus is. Wow. I know he had that...
I think she's a singer. I think that's her thing.
Yeah, he had that 20 or 40 foot
I think
thing.
after I finished working there, they came in and did a thing, and that was apparently pretty interesting.
Pretty handy going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Get people rocking in every now and then. Barnsey would rock in for a yarn, and just the whole crew.
That's mad. It's like the... I don't know if they're still around now. Top End. I think they've closed down.
Yeah, they closed recently. Yeah.
I mean, Top End's sort of similar to 301 in the sense that it's just a location in a city's Sydney, and just gravitate like all these iconic musicians.
Production rehearsal rooms as well. So.
That's right. Yeah. So I think when Cold Chisel were getting ready to go off on tour, they'd set up there for a week or so and
I think
bang out
do
their
months.
sets. Yeah. Wow.
A month or two at a time. I remember Midnight Oil did it as well, but they had I think they had rehearsal rooms as big as this venue nearly.
I remember walking into... We did a couple of video clips there over the years. I don't think we ever rehearsed there, but I remember walking into that place. That place was just mega. It was huge. Like just their facilities was just incredible. So
yeah, I never went in there myself, but I'd seen pictures and videos and whatever, and I was like, man, I could jam like 50 rehearsal rooms in there.
I know. And it might be a good segue because to talk about what you've got with your rehearsal setups that you have in the 2 locations. But I mean... Did you ever go to Kickstart in Wollongong?
Yeah.
So my experience of rehearsal spaces is Kickstart.
Yep.
And I didn't actually go there, but there's a couple of other places, but it's that similar vibe. Yep. So there's a PA in there, kind of, and
it smells like rubber.
Rubber's the nicer of the smells that are in there. There's bugger all ventilation, and it's just
just a fan in the wall, those huge fans.
That's it. And I got fond memories of Kickstart, but that was my standard of what I expected a rehearsal room to be.
Me too.
And so we as Lord did some rehearsals at your new place in Marrickville, Sydenham, and I was just blown away. And I couldn't get my head around what you've done with this place because there's so many little things I would never expect to see in a rehearsal studio. And I've spoken to people since then, and it seems to be that there's other places around the country and even overseas that have similar things that you've set up.
Yeah.
But for me, coming from like Kickstart and these sort of very basic setups, I mean, what you've done is pretty high tech in comparison.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep with the times, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
Kickstart's that started a long time ago, and it just stuck, and it
was very old school.
Yeah.
And Arnie's old school anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And you might get a can of Solo, or that might be sold out.
Boys.
You might get a can of Pepsi.
That's right. Yeah, boys, I'm out of Solo. Yeah.
I remember asking for a water there one day because I was drumming.
Yeah.
And I go, man, have you got any bottles of water? He goes, water? What do you want that shit for? He goes, there's water in the tap. And I go, but I don't have a bottle. Have you got any bottles? He's like, just get a can of Coke and drink that. And then fill it up with water. So I did. Drank half of it, tipped it out, and filled it up with water.
Oh, man, I remember the guys like TY and some of the other guys.
Oh, he lived there.
Yeah, they're just like getting cans all the time. And then I think TY would go in there and go, Arnie, I'll pay you next time. He's like, yeah, no worries, all
Sounds
good.
about right.
You can edit that one out, TY, if you're not happy with that. You got a reputation. So one of the cool things about, so you got 2 sites.
Yes.
So I've only been to the one in Marrickville.
Right.
What's the one in St. Peter's? Same similar setup?
Yeah, St. Peter's was the first one I built.
Yep.
And we started in 2012. Just 2 rehearsal rooms, but we built one as a recording room.
Yep.
Because that was what I wanted to do as well. So I just put tie lines and whatever in, and I've got my recording desk and all the gears in the control room, and then I just was like, well, why don't we just build both of them to the standard of a recording spec? So super soundproof, well acoustically treated. Didn't cost much more than not doing it. Because I jammed in it without any treatment on there, and it was loud as fuck. It was just nasty sounding. So.
And was that just? I mean, because I haven't been there, so I don't know what it is. But is it sort of like was it an industrial sort of warehouse sort of set up, like a little?
Yeah, same thing. So it's actually a shared space, so other people share the building, and then I've just built a wall across one side of the room, and then built my little rooms inside there.
So I assume that without getting into the nitty gritty of it all, assume you would have had to twist an arm for a loan or something like that to get some upfront dosh, because fitting something out like that's not.
The fit out was up there.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it was up there even more, because it was sort of going in blind a little bit.
Yeah,
I didn't completely know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I built a lot of it myself, so I'm not a builder or anything by trade. But
how long did that take you?
I think the first one took about 3-4 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's straight into operations.
And did you build it with the expectation that it would be something that would turn into a business? I mean, I assume it would be.
Yeah, that was the plan. That was the plan originally. I was at the time I was rehearsing in 2 bands, 2 or 3 nights a week, and I was just like, oh man, if something comes up, maybe we better chuck a room together. And I thought it was going to be a lot cheaper and quicker than it was. I thought maybe I'd chuck it up in 3 or 4 weeks, but 3 or 4 months later, there it was. I'm still painting bits and pieces here and there.
So you got the second space in Marrickville.
Yep.
When did that get up and running?
That was 2016, I think.
Okay.
I started that at the end of the year. So after running the first one for a while, a couple of other studios closed down, like Troy Horse and whatever, and then there was a massive flood of the market. So I was just like, oh, I got to start looking around for a new site. And then I found this place, and it was pretty good, and I threw up some more rooms in there, and it was a lot quicker than the first one.
I was going to say,
did
you have a bit of a plan this time, or a
clear plan?
Anyway?
Well, when I finished it, I said I'll never do it again, like I did the first time. But I had a bit more of a plan, and I threw it all together. And I wanted to make it a lot nicer and like sort of pay more attention to the stuff I didn't do before to get it nice and soundproofed and just more streamlined, I guess. And then I thought, why not have it like a gym? It was my main sort of what I based it on. It's like a 24-hour gym, just get your membership and sort of sign in, click yourself in. No one has to be there. So I sort of based it on that, and I found some, what are they called, like web scheduling program things. So all you do is just go onto the website, click on the time you want, pay your money, and then you get a PIN code and go let yourself in.
That was so good. Like when I did it, because Adrian, who's been playing the last few shows with us,
he loves it.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, yeah, try it here. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. And then so I went online, and I expected that I'd have to give you a call and go, hey, you want to book us in, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you just do it online. I'm like, oh really? So I had a look, and
that's the
I was
old
just
school
like,
way.
and I'm like, oh my god, like this is great. I don't have to talk to anyone.
Yeah, you don't have to talk to me.
No offense, but
No one wants to talk to me.
But it was so good. It was really quick, and you could pick your time, and you could schedule in advance, and you could book multiple sessions as well.
Yeah.
And you could pick one of the 2 locations.
Yeah, and sign in and create an account, and then just one click next time, and it's done.
You get your code.
Yeah.
Key it in, and like there's just no one there that has to man it either, which is like genius.
Yeah, I'm saving like 40, 50 hours a week on wages.
Oh, big time. That's so good. It was, I mean, and I get the concept around the gym thing, because in another lifetime ago, I had a membership for Anytime Fitness, where you could just key in at 4 a.m. in the morning or whatever, anytime.
Yeah,
like
straight after the pub.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, gotta work off these carbs. And that's amazing. I mean, they've got their core hours with an office open, but for the most part, you come and go as you please, and everything, all the equipment's in there, and you just go in, do your thing, and leave. And there's this like really sort of liberating aspect of it that I think attracts a lot of people, because you're not forced to have to comply to somebody else's schedule. You can sort of create your own what works for you.
Yeah.
Were there other studios that you'd seen? I don't know, like
No.
interstate or anything like that?
No, I'd found out later that there was one Northern Beaches that had a similar kind of setup.
Yeah.
But I'm mates with that guy, so we sort of put our heads together and we both refined a few things for each other. So
It's such a good concept. I mean, no offense to anybody that used to man a desk at a rehearsal studio, but the odd one that we would do in random locations, and you didn't have a rapport or relationship with them. I mean, it's like anybody that works in music. There's a level of bitterness that comes up years and years of doing the same thing and just dealing with lots of different personalities, that you start to get you got a short tolerance with people.
Yeah, totally.
And I used to get that a lot with going to random rehearsal studios, and you'd have to go and talk to the person. Oh, hey, we're here. We've got this booking. Whatever.
What do you fucking want?
Yeah, go away, mate. I'm on my phone.
Totally understand.
So it was such a breath of fresh air to be able to just do that online and just go in there, just key it in, and not have to go and check with anybody. And it was cool.
Well, the other thing, the people, like, not against any people, but my hours were late hours when I'm working, so I finish at midnight and whatever, sleep in a little bit in the morning, but other people don't. And they try and ring me at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the phone doesn't stop until 1 o'clock in the morning. Cause it just sort of, when I was doing it that way, because that's how I did it when I started in St. Peter's, I was just like, man, I can't get random phone calls, 20 hours a day when, so I just turned my phone off at night and couldn't deal with it.
Oh man. And the other thing,
and then people get shirty or they don't come back, they don't follow through with it because I didn't answer the phone or whatever. But
oh yeah, and I mean, I'll unfairly stereotype musicians. Musicians take everything personally. So
yeah. And they're the worst. They're
the worst.
They're the worst organised people in the world.
Well, I mean, on that,
I don't know. I deal with them every single day of my life. It's my whole career.
you've got experience.
Yeah,
you
I don't know what.
You've got authority to make that statement.
I wake up every day and ask myself why I have to deal with these guys.
Well, I mean, the other thing that's really good about it is, there's an ease from, the musician's point of view of booking everything online and not having to sort of coordinate anything. You can just come and go. But it removes that whole debacle around payment. Because I remember,
well, there's the internal payment with the band.
Yeah, well, that'll be another thing altogether. But
sometimes that's an issue.
Yeah. But, I mean, you've got to pay in advance online when you book.
Yeah.
So, for you...
Yes,
that's
perfect. Man,
and it eliminates all that...
Saves me chasing people.
Oh, man.
That's the worst part of it. It's probably the worst part of any job, right?
Yeah.
You're just chasing people, and it sucks.
You're on your way out, you're like, oh, mate,
whether you're a badass or not.
I left my wallet at home. Can I hook you up next week, next rehearsal? You're okay, no. Yeah, then it doesn't. It just
That's usually my answer. That guy looks like he's got some money. Get him to pay.
Someone, find it, man. I remember that years ago, especially at Kickstart, and there'd be another young band there, and they're trying to negotiate with Arnie. You're like, Arnie, just don't have my wallet here. Arnie's like,
I turned up when I rehearsed for 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. We only worked it out as we're loading out, and all of our gear's out of the room now. We're all packed up, ready to go.
That's right, We shouldn't have got that case before we turned up.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, just to be able, from your point of view, that security of having the upfront payment online is just a big game changer.
Yeah, it's great.
One of the other things is what I found really cool, and they're simple things, and they sound so stupid when you verbalise them, but just those little 1% extras is you got backline. Yeah. That, I mean, obviously that was a cost up front to do, but was there a worry that shit would get wrecked?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I tried it out at St. Peter's. The problem with St. Peter's was the car park's upstairs.
Ah, okay.
So that was the main reason for putting the heavy gear downstairs.
Yep.
So you just carry your personals and your guitars and your cymbals and whatever. It's manageable. So and it seemed to go okay. Nothing really gets wrecked. I think I probably had like 4 blown speakers in 6 years or whatever. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. And it's fixable. I can fix all that sort of stuff myself.
Well, that definitely helps if
some of the PA stuff's a bit tricky, but it's all pretty manageable. And the stuff, the gear's modest. It's solid, like it's heavy duty stuff. It all sounds fine. It's good enough to rehearse on. Oh,
I mean, for us it was perfect because there's nothing worse than lugging a cab in and out and
packing it into your car from home, and then
or if you haven't got somebody in the band that doesn't have their license, and then you got to try and coordinate extra cabs and shit like that. It's like fuck, but yeah, having that backline there is it's just so simple, but and I haven't seen a lot of it done in the past.
Yeah.
So just things like
Yeah,
that.
it was minimal effort really for
Yeah.
me, and it just kind of like a little bit of outlay to start with, and a little bit of sort of maintenance every now and then, change drum skins and whatever. But they seem to last for a while.
And the other thing that's really cool is that you got a vending machine there.
Yeah.
it's got guitar
Used
picks.
underwear. No, I mean that's just
No, that was the other one.
You better cut that out too.
That's the other one upstairs. Yeah, cut it out. Edit. It's got like guitar picks. There's guitar leads.
Yep.
There's
kettle cords.
Yeah.
So you can, if you forget your power cable and your speaker cable, which everyone does.
It's the best. It is so good because I mean,
Guitar straps.
Going back to like Kickstart, Arnie had a bunch of messy cables on the wall, and if you forgot something, and then you'd use it, and then some of them went back onto the hook and some of them didn't.
Yeah, they went back into your case.
Or right.
Yeah.
Or they were wrecked or whatever it was, it's like, well, if you're a dead shit and you've forgotten your gear, then here's an option. You saved, but you got to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, people don't really mind.
Yeah, I reckon it's cool.
I've had people come up to me and go, man, the amount of times that thing saved me. Like I've packed stuff into a different case and got a different band, like come in with a different band with different gear and whatever.
Where'd that idea come from especially from a vending machine concept? Because I mean, you could have your old school desk with somebody manning it.
Yeah. Well, I used to sell a bit of stuff at the other place.
Yeah.
Like, so I got a stock of stuff if people forget and whatever. But yeah, I don't know how I came up with the vending machine idea. You can pretty much put anything. It's just got coils in it, and you just
you literally could put anything.
Throw things in there. Yeah. I can't put drumsticks in it though.
Do you buy them outright, the vending machines?
Yeah. Just bought it off Gumtree.
What are they worth?
Just bought it off Gumtree.
What'd you pay? Like roughly?
That one was pretty cheap because it was a bit broken.
Yeah.
And I got I know this guy who repairs them, and he's a gun.
People you know.
Yeah, totally. So I think it was like $200. And then it cost me like around $1,000 or something to get all the soup back up and fixed up. But yeah, it's
pay
been
for itself.
fine. Yeah. Oh, it's got cold drinks in it as well, so it's drinks and snacks, so you can.
That's it.
Yeah, it's.
And once again, you have to have someone manning it.
That's
something.
right. Yeah.
So good.
Before I had to make some packaging things for the cables and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because they got a few of them got stuck over time, and people would lose their money and bring me up with the shits. And I better fix that.
I can imagine it's like an episode of Seinfeld where it gets stuck in the machine. You're like, just rocking this thing trying to get it out.
Getting phone calls. Yeah, I had to bolt it to the wall because people were rocking it. Whole place is idiot proofed.
Oh yeah,
super safe.
Yeah, and the other thing that you've got is the lockers.
Oh yeah, with the storage lockers, or the
storage
or the rental lockers. Because I've got next to the machine. There's 5 metal lockers.
Oh, okay.
And if you rent a bass head or a guitar head or whatever, you prepay for that, and then you get a code.
You get a code.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so you can just grab it out, use it, but yeah, the storage available too.
Yeah, the storage lockers are really cool, especially sort of if you're thinking stereotypically of your standard inner west muso. And probably share housing.
Yeah, that's right.
Concepts.
You don't want to keep your quad in the lounge room.
That's right, where people are putting their drinks on.
And totally.
Shit goes wrong.
Yeah.
And so, paying X amount per week or whatever, and you've got a place that you can stuff a couple of quads in there or whatever, and some shit. And
those they filled up so quick once I built them. Like I left it for ages because I didn't have time to build it, and I ended up just. Had that much demand. I had to get my mate, who's a builder, to come in, and had to pay him to come and build them.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone. I was standing there with Mark last time we were in. I can't remember what I worked out, but I was sort of like calculating. I was like adding them up, and I'm going, per week, and then per month, per year. I'm like, fuck, that alone, not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
But it's cheaper than what you would pay if you've got a Kennards or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And for no doubt, a lot
or
of
if
those,
you rented anywhere in the inner west.
Well, that's on another level altogether.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would assume that most of those guys that are using those lockers are rehearsing there anyway.
Yeah.
So it's even better for them because
just come in and grab your guitar and
it's like you're upselling. You're selling them the space to rehearse, and it's like, oh, while you're here, you can leave your stuff here for a little bit extra.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of it is they can send me a message the day before or during the day or whatever, and have 24-hour access. So
Wow.
if they've got a locker there, I can just set their code back up and come and grab their gear, play a gig, drop it back at 2 o'clock in the morning. Saves it getting stolen out of their car in Marrickville. Like, it's happening sort of every week now.
I was going to say, it tends to happen. Yeah. What's the, I mean, as you said before, like before you opened this place, like a lot of other places were shutting down. What's the demand been like since you've opened up the Marrickville one?
It was a slow burn. I don't sort of, been doing a little bit of advertising, but it's sort of more word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, but yeah, it's just been going crazy in the last sort of year. I think once Top End closed down, which was 6 to 8 months ago,
Yep.
it just sort of started ramping up real quick.
You need like some really strategic.
And it's only like 150 metres down the road. So.
Oh, it's like literally around the corner.
And there's 2 breweries even.
Oh, man.
They're like
I didn't know about
a
that.
1 second walk either way. The one next door is I just got a letter in the mail from the council saying they want to extend their trading hours to 10 o'clock every night or something instead of 7 or whatever. Yeah, doesn't worry me.
Yeah, arms twisted. Yeah, I think we can allow that. Yeah, I think with Top End shutting down, and if you haven't already thought of this, some sort of strategic online search result thing where if people are searching for Top End, your thing automatically shows up as a related search result. So it's like, shit, Top End shut down.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Here's the next sort of using some keyword searches and shit like that.
Yeah, I've never really delved into that sort of stuff.
And I really don't know what I'm talking about. So
no,
it makes it sound
I've
like
had a few people offer for me to do that sort of stuff.
Adrian probably do that. He's he's a bit of a whiz kid with that kind of shit.
Yeah, he loves that stuff.
Well, he knows more than me anyway.
Yeah.
But those breweries, fuck, like when we did the first rehearsal there, I had no idea because I haven't lived in Marrickville in like 10 years.
Yeah. Well, the one right next door's only just opened up.
Yeah, and that, like, I've went in there last time with Adrian after we rehearsed and we had a beer in there, and I'm just sitting there, man, this is paradise. Like, you go and rehearse straight next door.
Yeah.
Go and have a cheeky beer.
Yeah, or you go and get a 6-pack before you rehearse, which is
it's so good.
A lot of people do, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the most painful thing is that me still living down the south coast, I've got to drive. Yeah. So it's just like, the temptation. Oh, man. And
I've got some blow-up mattresses upstairs if you want.
Well, that's your extension. That's the phase 2.
We'll do you a good price on it.
Oh, man.
Sleepover.
Oh, yeah, I might. Yeah, the cogs are turning now. But I mean, having those guys there, and who are the other guys on Sydenham Road?
Batch.
Yeah,
they've been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
And they got food trucks out the front.
That's right.
All the time. So when I was building there, I'd just be like, "What am I gonna have for lunch?" I'll just walk down and see what food trucks are.
I mean, that's definitely helped with like Marrickville changing over the last few years with all this shit growing. Like
they're everywhere.
Popping
man.
up in
so many breweries
in the industrial area and everything like that. It's been huge. It would have helped. I mean, I don't think it would ultimately make a massive difference with your business, but it's kind of like an extra selling point in a way. Like if people are going to choose somewhere, as far as
do it where everything's happening.
Yeah. Musos love a drink, you know.
Yeah, of course they do.
Speaking of upstairs at Marrickville, what's
the war zone?
The war zone. I haven't been up there, but it looks like there's room to grow.
Yeah. So
what are you thinking?
That'll be the recording studio. I nearly jumped at it about a month ago. And then I looked at my calendar, and then I looked at the time of year it was, and it's going to be like in summer, standing upstairs out there. It's just so hot. It's like 20 degrees warmer up there because it's right underneath the tin roof. And
that's right. So, it's ultimately a warehouse, isn't it?
Yeah. So I might wait until the winter time and build the recording rooms up there.
So is it going to be?
So it's going to replace the recording
at St. Peter's?
At St. Peter's, yeah, eventually. Just because the St. Peter's room's awesome. Like, it sounds amazing. Drums sound really good in it. But it's got to share with the rehearsal.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a shared room, so I've got to set it back up for rehearsals, or I've got to work around bookings that are for bands jamming.
It's not two
and stuff.
separate things. It's
the same room.
It's a common room.
Yeah. So
okay.
So that's the whole thing. So if I can get a dedicated recording live room, I can leave the drums set up and leave the mics half plugged in, and it'll save heaps of time when I'm doing recording as well. Like, it takes me 3 or 4 hours to do a setup for a band now. So I could probably do it in an hour and it's ready to go.
Would you do would you do a drum room upstairs for recording, or would you use one of the existing
No, I
rooms?
use I'll do it. There's enough room for a full live room and a big control room.
Wow.
And then a little booth on the side. But there's also, when I built it, I wired up patch bays that run downstairs as well. So you can run, I think I can run 12 mics if I need to.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I've got a tenant upstairs who has a mix room as well, and his room patches into it as well. So he can, if he needs to overdub some guitars or whatever, he can send the guy down there and...
So is there someone already up there doing work?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And
so he just goes in there and does his mixing.
And do you guys sort of share a lease, or is he sort of
No,
contracted
he subleases off me.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, when he was mixing out of another room somewhere else and he didn't like it, and it was a shared space and it was a bit rough, and then I was like, oh, I got this extra space that I'm not using, and I just had junk and tools and whatever chucked in there, so tidied it up a bit, and I soundproofed the roof and put an air conditioner in it, and like split the room in half, and he loves it. He's in there every day.
I mean, obviously you got this room to grow, and you're going to, eventually sort of fit it out. But I mean, even with the space that you've got, you've been able to sort of absolutely milk every possible corner of this place to generate some money.
It's not super large, so I've kind of just got to squeeze everything in where I can.
It's perfect, and I would assume like it's just inner Sydney. It's not cheap.
No.
In general.
Yeah. So just got to maximise everything.
That's it. So when you eventually relocate the recording aspect from St. Peters to Marrickville, would St. Peters just be dedicated rehearsal space? And so you'll still keep that as a separate, like you won't just combine
Yeah, it'll just carry on, yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. That's so good. I've got to ask, Bane, what's happening with the band?
Oh, we did a show a couple of years ago.
Not much since then?
Nah.
Any plans?
The plan was to do a new album. That plan came about in 2009.
A work in progress.
Yeah. I started writing some songs, and then forgot about them and started another project and did some other bands. But yeah, we had a few sort of spurts of inspiration, and Ray and I had some jams and wrote a few tracks and forgot about them again.
So the idea is
everyone's just too busy, man. It's just we did some show. I don't remember when it was. End of 2016, 17, I think. Yeah. We did sort of 5 shows in a row.
Epic.
Yeah, and that was it. We were like, all right, it's worth our while to rehearse, enough, because we'd forgotten all the material and stuff. We hadn't played for 2 or 3 years before that. And I was just sick of playing the old songs all the time, as you know how it is. Mm-hmm. But you guys pump out more songs than we do.
Yeah, we do, but we tend to stick to the same repertoire live, so it tends to get long in the tooth. But
you got a bit of fresh stuff to fiddle around with when you want.
Yeah. But I definitely like even that sort of those long gaps in between. I mean, I don't think we've done 3 odd years, but we've certainly done long periods of time where we've done nothing live.
Yeah.
And you literally forget everything.
But basically. Like what we've done. But you guys have got Tim writing stuff all the time. And
it helps.
That's his life.
That's our secret weapon.
Yeah. So I'd sort of fall off the wagon every now and then and get too busy and consumed with work or trying to hustle jobs all the time, and then I just get bored and I'll jump on it. I got a short attention span, so I'll jump on another project and record half of that.
It probably helps though. Like I'm having a guess, but 10 odd years ago, with the band, like where it sits in the list of priorities would have been completely different to where it sits now.
Oh yeah, totally.
So like the pressure you guys would have put on yourselves to get stuff recorded, get stuff out there, do shows would have been so different to. Yeah,
that was number one priority for all of us, and we did it. We did the album thing and did a tour, did some tours and went overseas and did the whole works and got our name out there. And I feel like if we did a show now, probably a lot of people would remember who we are, and same as the last shows we did, people were buying merch and stuff, so probably more merch than when we were actually doing stuff, which is more, everyone was like, oh, this is a nostalgic band.
I always love those bands, the Australian bands, especially sort of a lot of the black metal bands, that would play like once every 3 years, 3 or 4 years, and they play the most random of events, like these like special nights or whatever.
But everyone would come out for it.
Oh yeah, and you go to those gigs and you're like, I'm looking around the room and I go, I haven't seen these people in like 10 years. It's incredible.
Since last time they played.
Yeah, and you watch like massive turnout, huge turnout.
Yeah.
The merch is just
Like all the Mountains dudes, right?
oh yeah, and the merch is just getting cleared, and you're just going, man, like, why don't we do that? And it's like, well, you've got to be prepared to not play for a million years.
Yeah,
and just
that's
sit
right.
back.
Yeah,
and is one night with whatever the revenues from that worth it versus just having semi-regular
that's right.
touring
Yeah,
along
it probably
the way?
balances out in the end.
It probably does, but I love that. I mean, I remember seeing, I don't know if it was their last show that they ever did, but Nazor, the Manning Bar, 09 or something like that.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Blacked out at that gig. I got a little bit too excited with the beers, but that was a massive turnout. That was a big night.
Yeah, it's a big room to fill.
Yeah, and but there was a lot of people that came out of the woodwork for that, and even like Astral from Brisbane.
Yep.
They've done the odd show here and there, or even when they jump on a support, it's just
they still kill it.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge band. Like they've just got that cult status where the less they play, the better. Their stakes rise.
Yeah, I don't think they planned that though.
No, that's it. I don't think it's a strategic thing that they all get together and go, no, this is how we're going to approach
exactly the same as my band. I think about it every now and then. We should do some stuff. Even metal. We should do some stuff with metal. But yeah, I think that's the same thing. Like, but that's not my thing. I just play drums and that.
Yeah.
The other guys do all the writing and whatever. So.
But it must seem with at least those two bands that pressure's not there anymore. It's sort of more of a case of like, if it happens, it happens. When the timing's right, yeah, cool. But otherwise, we're all busy doing other shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's more of a. When I think of it, it's more of a bummer that it's like, we can't really just jump out and do something next week because it takes too much preparation to get back to where we were.
And I mean, do you guys even have like a full band? As far as like, if you guys got a call up, everyone's there. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's been a struggle of ours for the last few years. It's like
revolving door.
We're gonna find that drummer.
Oh, we've had plenty of drummers. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, like, I always look at supports and things like that, and you go, oh man, we should throw our hat in the ring for a support. And it's like, I don't think
we get a line-up together.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, then when you got to dust off the cobwebs, is everyone really going to be prepared for this?
Well, that's what we've decided, that if we got offered one show, we'd just say no, because unless it was like out of control, good,
like a bucket list show or something.
That's like we did one a couple of years ago in Perth because we'd never been to Perth before, and we got a pretty good deal, and you know, we stayed at Dicey's house and free accommodation and whatever, so it was
sort of offset a little bit.
I don't think it's ever worth your while going to Perth, but it's expensive to fly 4 dudes over there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But yeah, you know, we did it just because we wanted to. And I think we were semi-rehearsed at that point anyway, so...
that kind of helps.
Yeah, it was sort of took a bit of the edge off. But yeah, if we got offered a show next month and it was just one, I probably wouldn't do it.
Do you get approached every once in a while?
I think they've given up. When you're active, you get smashed all the time. And I don't know. They sort of kept asking and I kept saying no. Even when we were getting approached all the time, I'd knock it all back.
I used to have the same people hit me up every sort of 3 to 4 months, asking a similar sort of request for a similar type of show. And I just politely decline, and then it sort of tapered off after a while. Now, like they just don't hit me up anymore. And it got to the point where some of them were like, oh my fuck, man, I know they got good intentions, but man, they are just being a punisher right now.
Yeah.
I'm being super polite here. I don't want to say I'm not interested, and then eventually they just stopped messaging me. I'm like, oh, now I feel like we're not in demand anymore. What's going on? All right, man. Well, what's the website for the studio?
Adversarystudios.com.
Yeah, all right, cool.
And it's just got all the booking information there and all whatever you need to know. A few photos.
Good idea for interstate bands if they want to get into town early.
Yeah, we had a few in there.
Do some Arvo.
Yeah, that's
jams.
it. Yeah.
And soon to be recording facilities at Marrickville, but there's already some at St. Peter's.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll link to everything. And
we're recording.
And hit you up for some sound.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks, man.
We shook hands.
You did.
If you want to reach out to Aaron, you can go to adversarystudios.com. You can also click through on the show notes over at andysocial.net or in this podcast player. You'll be able to see the show notes and a bunch of clickable links to the band, Bane of Isildur. I can never fucking say that properly. Adversary Studios and everything that we discussed in this chat and everything that he's involved with and all of his social media pages, etc., etc. So you can click on the show notes there, and I'll put some videos into the show notes as well, so you can go and check out a little bit of Aaron's work as a musician, as well as everything else that he's been a part of. But cheers, Aaron. Really appreciate the chat, and good to catch up again. Before we wrap it up, from a Lord update perspective, new single for the new album is out. The single is called United. Welcome back. If you haven't heard it yet, shame on you. Go and check it out. You can go to lord.net.au/united. The new album is called Fallen Idols, and that's due out at the end of April. If you go to that web link, sounds so 90s, lord.net.au/united. All the track listing is there for the new album, including some covers that are going to be on the Australian release. So you might want to go and check that out. Some good stuff there. And lots of information about the new album, some teasers. The video clip for the single as well is there. So go over and check it out. And as I've been crapping on, please share this around if you know anybody that digs the music as well. We're really excited to get this album out, and any people power that we can get, any support we can get from you guys will mean a lot to us. So go and check it all out, lord.net.au. And from a self-starter point of view, we are in the midst of recording season 2. That's going to be out in June of this year. In the meantime, go and check out season 1. It's still all up online, and there's lots of blog content there as well. But I have been putting out a call to action, and people have been responding, so thank you so much. Any guest recommendations for season 2, please let me know. If you know anybody that has their own business, earns a little bit of extra money on the side, has a second job, a third job, a fifth job, a 10th job, it doesn't matter. Anything that involves a little bit of initiative in creating some additional revenue. I'd love to hear from it. It's that self-starter attitude, which I'm all about, and I'd love to highlight more people doing amazing things. So please contact me if you're interested. But if you're just curious about the podcast, go and check it out over at selfstarter.com.au. But that's it, folks. Another episode done. Thank you so much, as always, for listening to me waffle on. And I really hope you enjoyed this particular episode as well. And we'll be back next week with another fantastic guest. Until then, take care. Ta-ta. Larry.